All right, good evening, everyone. A little bit of a different time. I've just woken up, managed to put my face on, and we're gonna see what Asia has in store for us. Slightly unusual time. I've never actually done a stream at this time of the night, but I do trade this time of the night very frequently. So why don't we hang together? All right, let's see who's in chat. First and foremost, we have James Fleming. We have Ivan, Adam Blue. He says, I love this time of the stream. Yeah, I mean, I'm going back to my night owl roots, right? Vital says, D is crushing it with unusual live stream time. 2:30 a.m. in Berlin. Okay. Initial Maverick is saying good day. Alright, so we've got a few people here. Now, I don't know whether... Did I even do like a newsletter? Probably not. But I did tell you guys... I did tell you guys and girls that we're going to be streaming at this time of the night. Alright, let's have a look at what Tokyo has in store for us. One thing that I like to do when it comes to this particular time of the day is to mark off the pre-Tokyo range. So usually I have a couple of bots that are running on MGC and I have one running on copper. Now, because of the way the companies and prop firms rules go, I can run all three on TradingView accounts, but I can only run the MGC ones on the Apex accounts. Why? Because if it so happens that copper gets itself into a sort of a reverse situation from gold, which does happen, you know, not too often, but they do go into opposing directions. You don't want to get caught by like some weird hedging rule. Even though they're base metals and precious metals, some of these companies have decided to put all of the metals and jam them together. Nothing we can do about it, right? So the first step, always for this time of the night, would be for me to mark off the pre-Tokyo range. Now, at the moment, I do have a little indicator that's doing that for me. However, I'm going to put two lines just to have them a little bit different. And at the moment, it looks like gold is trying to break out to the upside. I do need to change the color of these because I can't see anything. Granny D over here. Should we do orange? How does that look? Yeah, let's do orange. And that kind of becomes your guide, right? So one of the bots banks on the failure of the breakout and then a reversal, but gold has been moving a lot. Now, we had this huge move towards the end of the night, or the end of the afternoon if you're located in the States somewhere. I don't know what caused that, because I wasn't actually trading. All of my trades last night were done by the bots, and I actually did something completely different throughout the day today. So I was watching it because I was making some videos and messing around with like AI and stuff, and yeah, so it just kind of started to massively like just bleed lower. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. But at the same time, I didn't, because I was so busy with other things, I didn't really think to see what caused it. So does anybody know? I could look at Financial Juice, but again, I've woken up after like 2-3 hours sleep now. So if anyone knows what that was, let me know. Yes, Vital. So pre-Tokyo time would be the start of whenever the markets reopen after the maintenance period up to 1 a.m. So that's half an hour before I started the stream, right? So whenever Tokyo opens for that time of the year, they don't have daylight savings. So they will slide by an hour here and there. But right now, Tokyo for me is opening at 1 a.m. whereas I started this stream at 1:30 a.m. my time. So, but yeah, for now they're trying to break out. They're not exactly running higher. Do we have any levels here? So we have a gamma flip here at 4120. And we are opening just ever so slightly below the previous day's Tokyo value. So there could be a bit of a mean reversion here. There is a chop zone between 4120 and 4125, but with the ranges that gold has been doing, that shouldn't really make too much of a problem. If they manage to go higher, I don't see a problem reaching 4150, which is a mega core wall. So that could be possible. Let me see what the bots are doing. Yeah, I know that oil surged, obviously, quite clearly when gold is going down. It's something to do with the Iran war. It's going to be going gold down, crude oil up, because throughout the whole conflict they've been negatively correlated. Gold for some reason started correlating with equities. Alright, so they are breaking out. Now let me just make sure that I'm not clashing with any bots here. Okay. I examine live says Tokyo session. Nice one, D. Yep. Alright. How much volume is behind this? Let's have a look. Need to look. I mean, it is enough. See, sometimes when you have a big massive volume candle, it could be an exhaustion volume bar, but if it's like 4 times the size of everything else, that could be institutions. So let's see if we can somehow obtain an entry into this. Alright, and I'm also going to do the same thing, exactly the same approach for copper. Okay, we're going to do... See, copper is not as insane. It's a bigger contract, but I find it a lot more kind of palatable than gold. So this was the pre-Tokyo. Clickety click, clickety click. Okay. Let's see whether they go into this value acceptance on MGC. What happened? Alright, so the bot deemed this push to the upside is a little bit beyond the pre-Tokyo range. So it's gone too far too quickly. Now, because we have the value low here, this could be that pre-Tokyo, sorry, pre-Shanghai shakeout, and then a reversal. Still a little bit early. Like, I don't usually like to enter immediately during Tokyo first hour. And usually you get another opportunity. It's kind of similar to, you know, how London and COMEX do things. So you get London going one way, and then COMEX steps in, you get the post-NY cut, and then everything kind of turns around. Asia session tends to have the same sort of behavior to it. So you get this pump during the first hour of Tokyo, then you get like a shakeout half an hour before Shanghai opens. And then sometime between that lunchtime that Tokyo, because you know Tokyo shuts down their exchange like completely for like a couple of hours, they go off to lunch. During that time, you tend to get a creation of either a high or a low for the Asia session. So that's like yet another opportunity to run a trade in the opposite direction. I'm very big on the times of day, you know that. I am not AI. I decided to turn up myself. I don't know, man. I was looking at some of those you know, mock-up sort of AI characters to see whether anything can look, and I don't know, they just didn't look right to me. So yeah, I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna sit here and, you know, until they make it like either super ridiculous where it's an actual cartoon talking to you. But the cartoons that I was looking at this sheep with like really big like paws and stuff. It looked ridiculous, but it had like a huge lag with like the mouth and stuff, so I was trying to see how that would work. So no, they're not quite there yet. They'll get there, so it's fine. Would you take a breakout or faded? So it depends. This breakout at the moment has gone way too far out of the pre-Tokyo range, all in one 5-minute candle. So that usually means, for the way I like to trade, that the risk would be too big. So personally, I wouldn't chase that one. Copper, on the other hand, looks more palatable to me. And it looks like it's not going to run away as quickly as gold did. So to me, I would probably wait until I fade gold, but maybe we get into a similar trade based on what gold is doing, so breaking out. But you can see that this is the copper high. So that one's not breaking out yet, right? But it has like the same sort of idea of wanting to break out. I just realized I didn't open my book map, so hold on. Give me a second. God, it's asking me to update a whole bunch of stuff. There you go. They update like nearly like every couple of days. Don't forget the book map actually has a 60% off for those of us who are the partners of Bookmap. So they're doing 50% off, but there's like an additional 10% for the code that they've given us. So it's a, you know, it's a pretty decent deal. And it's not Grasshopper's code. That's for something else. That's for prop firms and journals. Did I put it underneath here? I don't know. It's in the post somewhere. I'm just terrible with all of that stuff. Maybe it's in a description. I don't know. Right, so let's try pre-running. Because, you know, copper looks pretty bullish here. Let's do one of these accounts. Maybe a couple of them. All right, let's see what they can do. Do one of the apexes as well, although that one enters a short. That's not going to be very good. I don't think it will though, but you know what? Let's leave the apex accounts for this particular purpose. Let's see if we can add another trader per account here. That's about 3. Is it 3? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Entering at slightly different price points. And looking for the similar move that gold did, but copper is obviously a lot less crazy, so it might follow suit at some point, but for now we're just teasing that pre-Tokyo range level. Silver has a thin IB range. Yeah, I haven't really looked at silver. Do I plot the initial balance for a London session? I plot all the initial balances for all active session as they're coming in. So that's in the Pro Dev program, right? So I look at the Tokyo initial balance, then I look at the London initial balance, then I look at the LME initial balance as well for the copper purposes. Then we have COMEX. If you trade crude oil, it'll be NYMEX. So, you know, every product that you, but we're talking about metals here, right? So yes, there will be separate IBs for each and every session that we come across. Right, I'm gonna move gold to be on a 30-minute time frame, because I don't know about you guys, but whenever I'm staring at just a 5-minute chart, I can never orient myself. I'm like, what are we doing? I have no idea. Am I long on gold? No, it ran away too quickly. And it's hitting the value low from the previous day's Tokyo. But I am long copper now. Similar idea, but copper didn't break out of it. So let me explain. So I'm using a bit of the correlation between the two because they're both metals and they can correlate together, right? So what happens when gold kind of runs away too quickly, but copper is not quite yet breaking out? It tries to catch up, so you effectively get the same trade with a little bit of a delayed reaction, if that makes sense. Not always, but during the Asia session, they tend to correlate more often than not. So that's like a little trick. And also I looked at Bookmap, and it's just like green candles, green bubbles, up, 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 and up on copper, whereas on gold, it seems to have slowed down a little bit. I'm expecting this big move that we've just had to be like a bit of a pre-Shanghai shakeout, and then maybe we go short at some point, but it could also go into value acceptance, because my first area of interest is actually this 4150 mega call wall that we have on this point of control from yesterday's Tokyo session. How much total? So right now we're in with 4 positions, and it's just starting out. So we'll drag out the P&L, and I have a moth that just joined me and is flying into my... Did we name the moth? Give him a name. It's like flying around my Elgato line. It's so funny. Yeah, so hold your horses. We've just kind of started, right? And we'll see what gold wants to do as well, whether it wants to continue up or whether this is a bit of a shaky outy candle. I don't think it's a shakeout candle just yet, because it's not big enough. And the shakeouts usually happen in about 7 minutes time. So in the next 30-minute TPO, right? Joe says, D, at the point for gold, how do you confirm if it's a value acceptance or value rejection? 30-minute TPOs and time of day, obviously. So right now, I would probably say that we're gonna get that decision in the next 30 minutes. So it's not gonna be now. Why? Because we have the pre-Shanghai shakeout, which I'm not sure that this is it. This is a little too small. This is just like Tokyo Open. So we'll see. Again, once it shows up in the volume, can you see that? No. So let me move myself to the middle. There we go. So if this volume looked a bit bigger, like this one, maybe I would be going, yeah, it's a shakeout. I mean, we can look at it on a 5-minute time frame too. But yeah, it's I think we have another. I think we have another shakeout coming, because usually they're obvious on a 30-minute time frame, and gold is always a bit spikier than copper, and it's generally like just like a crazy product. Even during Asia, it just loves to like spike. It's a hallmark of it becoming a lot more speculative, and it's annoying because it used to be a very smooth product, but in the last few years we seem to have gotten this like NQ type price action where there's so many speculators in it. It started to create a lot of spikes. It's just that, like, that nervous price action. That's, you know, the primary reason why I decided to trade it via bots, because I can see opportunities in it, but sometimes if I'm either not feeling well or something's going on, I find it very hard to like emotionally be calm in a gold trade. Copper though, it's a completely different story. I'm able to stay, even though it's a big contract, I'm able to stay in copper for extended periods of time. It's just crazy. All right. Danny is telling me that it's time for bed. I just got up, mate. Like, I had a little snap, right? I had a nap from about 9:30 until 1 a.m. And I'm actually a night owl, naturally. I always went for night jobs, right? I was a musician, and for a lot of the time, my gigs wouldn't even start. Like, you wouldn't even be on stage until like 12, 1 a.m. And then you would keep going until 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning. So this is like more my natural natural habitat, so to speak. Yeah. How much total do I recommend for beginners? I mean, it depends on what you're trading and the size of your either prop eval or your account. But, you know, in general, as a beginner, you know, if you're really a beginner, you shouldn't put any risk anywhere. You should just work on the methodology. You know, until you get an idea of what you're doing and until you can answer the question, what is the auction doing? What is my hypothesis? And how do I read this? There shouldn't be any talk about money, okay? So I'm always big on the process over any risk, especially if you're like very, very new. Once you know the answer to that, that's when you get to the next stage where you're trying to learn as you're emotionally dealing with the losses or the wins or managing a trade live or, you know, whatever can happen in a trade. And then you can grow to the next stage. But, you know, that's for, you know, that's for another, you know, more experienced trader. So that's like 2 years into it. So I don't know how long you've been trading, Adam. So I wonder if gold is going to stay sideways for a few hours. I doubt it. So it's going to start going sideways probably once we get to about 2:30, 3 a.m. So not just yet. And why do I say that? It's because that's the time when Tokyo shuts down for lunch. And then they don't come back for 2 hours. That's the point where gold goes sideways. And that's when you might want to look for a reversal after the Tokyo comes back. So that's time of day for you. All right, copper's trying to break out of its own pre-Tokyo range. So we'll see whether maybe gold can push past this, whatever this level here is, the chop zone. We're definitely trying to go above the gamma wall into a positive gamma territory. All right, so this could be now that shakeout. Pre-Tokyo, sorry, pre-Shanghai shakeout, because that's much faster. Are you seeing that? So that's not, you know, oh, we're just kind of going up. No, it's like suddenly everything comes to life. That's what I look for. Once you get like this candle doing whatever direction, that could be deemed the shakeout pre-Shanghai candle. So it's all about like this like high velocity price action that is visible in real time, but you can't really see it if you're looking at like sort of done and dusted candles after the fact, right? But you saw the difference. Like up until now, it was all just like, yeah, we're going up, and we're going down, and then suddenly it's like, whoo! So that's pre-Shanghai. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But copper is now trying to go above the pre-Tokyo range high. Can it do a mean reversion? Is it gonna follow gold? It probably will, in a slightly less exaggerated fashion, but with more cash, right? Because it's a bigger contract. I might want to look at Nikkei. I'm not sure I have Nikkei. Do I have Nikkei? I don't think I do. I can check. I only trade the Nikkei if we have some weird FOMC event that takes the equities massively down and drags Nikkei with it, and then you have an opportunity to fade it back the other way. So, you know, let me see if whether I have it. I don't think I do though. And I'm not even sure, I mean, I don't know. Let's have a look. Yeah, that doesn't look right. Okay, here's the problem with Ninja and Nikkei. It doesn't have candles. Like, this is something that I've noticed. Like, this is where it's at. But for some reason on Ninja, they don't display the candles. So it's like, oh yeah, great. I do remember having this issue before with Nikkei on Ninja. So what I used to do, I used to have the CQG platform on the other side, and then I would be kind of going into, you know, the trade, but just sort of hoping that nothing's gonna go terribly wrong on Ninja. And nothing ever went wrong. It's just that for some strange reason they're not putting the candles properly. It's just a bizarre situation. All right, so let's kick off the P&L stream monitor. All right, so I am in, how many of these? 1, 2, 3. I think I'm in with 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. All right, so here's the 4 positions. 4 lots on copper. Gold is teasing the pre-Tokyo range again. Just gonna check some news to make sure we don't get smacked with some weird news. Weird news. Oil shocks can alter inflation expectations. Who's saying that? All right, so Japan is having is this a rate decision on BOJ? I don't really trade forex anymore, but I used to. So we'll see. All right, so for now, gold is going down, but copper is kind of not exactly following it, and it seems to be more reactive to the longs than it is on shorts. Again, that's a correlation thing. So far needs significant drop in activity. Okay. Yeah, so they're talking about some, you know, impact of crude oil being, you know, high for so long. Yes, we all expect like a bit of recession and stuff. Not a worry. I mean, it is a worry because obviously we might be in for an interesting time. Is anybody else getting a weird email from some strange spammy looking site that looks like it's coming from TradingView, but it isn't, and I keep deleting it and they keep sending me one, so it's a bit weird. Anyone else? All right. Get long gold. I think not, baby puppy. Like I said, we hit the value area high. Sorry, value area low on gold. Going long on gold when that's happening until you get the value acceptance is a noob moment. And as you can see, we're way below, back inside the pre-Tokyo range. So for now, there's no breakout. Again, copper looks better to me for a nicer move because it's above VWAP. Whereas gold is just flat. But copper, to me, looks like it's got a better chance to have a smoother movement. That's what we're here for. Gold going back into the pre-Tokyo range half an hour before Shanghai. It means that we might still get a movement, but it probably won't be now. It might happen maybe in about 20 minutes time or so when Shanghai Exchange actually opens. But for now, I would deem that we are looking at the potential shakeout candle. So I would expect the pre-Tokyo low to be taken and for gold to actually go down at least to this 4100 moderate put wall before it does anything else, because this would be a shakeout, and then maybe we can have a look at, you know, longs, because at that point we would have taken both sides of the pre-Tokyo range and it's going to be a little bit difficult to do anything. Coupled with the time of day, so if we run into pre-Tokyo, sorry, the Tokyo lunch hour, which is 2 hours, they shut the exchange. That is when you get the highs or the lows created. So if you can find a level, either moderate put wall or maybe an exhaustion, like we have another one which is a weaker one, but 40.75, that is actually an average session range exhaustion low for the Tokyo session. So, you know, if it gets down there, that would be perfect. But sometimes if the market starts doing this, where they take one side of the pre-Tokyo range, then they take another one, what do you have then? You have a potential for a range. So at that point, probably shouldn't be doing breakouts, you know? But seeing how copper is pretty resilient to this drop in gold, I'm still on the side of mean reversion back to the value in copper, and then maybe to try and crawl somewhere back up towards this 625 area. But we'll see. Still early days. Yeah, Tony Gold says, I got that email also. Nobody's giving away 2,500. Yeah, I know. It's like, what's going on? I know they had a data breach, and since then it's like TradingView crypto, and you won an award. It's like, how stupid do you think we are, mate? It's like, do you think I'm just gonna click on some random link? The first thing that I do whenever somebody claims that I've won anything is to see where the email is coming from, and if the email looks like dodgy, there are chances that I'm touching that. I know I'm Granny D, but I'm also a nerd, so it's like, yeah, man. Darth Buddha says, I know a lot of people love the interactive brokers. Yeah, I have my options account with them. I don't like trading like futures and stuff, so I only trade options with them. I mean, I tried trading other things. Their spreads are just in commissions. It's like, oh my god, it's like so expensive. So I only use them literally just for options. Yeah. SpaceX is a 10-year stock. Yeah, I don't know whether I'm interested in it just yet. We'll see. I have enough weird sort of space-related stocks already. I think I've mentioned this before. I do have like Virgin Galactic. Then I have Lunar and a couple of others that people probably have not heard of. And that's because it's not like, oh my God, this is such a good investment. It's because I'm a geek and because I'm obsessed with sci-fi, absolutely obsessed with anything space related. And, you know, I'm a huge borderline Trekkie. I even dressed up as a Trill one Halloween when I was like 16, 17. That's like how bad it goes. But yeah, so I purely from that standpoint, I decided to invest in some weird stocks. And you know, SpaceX is one of them, but I want to see what happens after the initial shakeout is done. And you know, even if it goes massively up, you can always do options on it. So however you spin it, there's ways to make money, right? Right, if you look at how this bid and ask is jumping, see that? It's like staying bid. So usually that can be a precursor for this jumping. You only get that on the markets that are a little bit slower and less liquid. Like copper moves, but if you look at the dome, it's not like, it doesn't have like a million things going per contract. So it's like, you know, 16, that's like the biggest size, right? 16. The rest of it is 4, 4, 6, 3, 7, 5, 6. You know, that's always an indication of a thin market. All right, let me have a look at my Discord for a second. All right, so we're gonna get some movement. A little move it, move it. Where do you hide your physicals? Safe in banks or under the bed? So I have some silver bars, and that's in a vault. So yeah. Oh, right. Hoop is there. Right. Hoop has joined us. Nice bounce equities. Do I have my own Discord channel? I do, but it's not a it's like more of a utility sort of Discord. I'll show you. So, and like I do have one channel where I started posting like dealer positioning, but I haven't really been doing that like every single day all the time. So, this is what that looks like, right? Dealer positioning. And then the rest of the Blahtech levels, you get like these sorts of posts, and then you get our ADRs, ASRs, you know. It's a utility server, right? What can I say? Because a lot of people wanted my levels, and we've actually finished the what do you call it? We finished the Blahtech MP and Blahtech DR. So they are live, but I still haven't finished some screenshots, and I'm also testing like some of the licensing stuff, but they are technically approved by Ninja, and we do have them all like wired in to create a new license. So we are getting ready to port off like these, I think, 4 other indicators to Ninja, and it kind of depends on the Ninja QA guy when that's going to be approved as well. So yeah. Who do I use as a stock broker? So I have a few companies because over the years, you know, back in the day, I was using, like, it was AMP at one point. Then I closed out some positions, and then I actually went to eToro for some strange reason. So some of it is in there. Then I have some in Interactive Brokers. So, you know, it's just like all over the place, basically. So I don't have like one brokerage where it's like, oh yeah, this is my portfolio. It's like literally all over the place. It's a bit messy. Because I was looking for, you know, kind of cheaper commissions and cheaper ways to sometimes switch over or re-enter positions that I've maybe booked somewhere else. So yeah, it was just me being a little bit disorganized back then. Okay, nice bounce equities. All right, let me see. Let me see. Long CL will be a less crazy move with the trailing stop. Let's see what CL is doing. And I am sorry about the white charts. The white charts. Long CL. Why would you wanna? I don't know, man. I mean, this looks like Asia wants to fade that. Again, I'm kind of leaning long metals to fade this move that we had, because, you know, the move, let's analyze what actually gold did yesterday, right? So it established the Asia high, and yes, it sort of opened above value, but then it couldn't get above Asia high. So we did a classic, little bit of a messy Asia sweep. But then since then, it just kept going and going and going until it actually went sub Asia low, and that's pretty much where we're opening. So if you take my Tom and Jerry chase idea that sessions chase each other, so we had a big down move during the New York session during COMEX. I would want to see that faded back the other way during Shanghai. So that's the idea. That's what I want to see. But I also don't want to get involved in a subpar location, like exactly at the value area low. When value area low, traditionally, when you're opening under it, is a reversal area, more often than it being the acceptance area. And by the same token, crude oil, to me, teasing the gamma wall, it's actually gamma flip at 72, and not being able to stay above it, I would expect more shorts there. But to me, crude oil is only good for Asia at very, very specific times of day. So again, I think long metals, short crude, they're not that correlated though. So you can't go, well, if I'm, you know, short metals, then I'll be long crude and vice versa. Yeah. Hoop just called me. Yeah. I don't know if Hoop wants to join us. I need my, I do need my what do you call it? My headphones. And, let me see if I can find that that video page that I used to use for guests. Let me see if I can. Is this me? It is me. Okay. And Ooh, so many scenes and sources. Let's see. Did I ever have a browser in here? Yeah, you can do it later in the week. I'm just trying to remember how to do it. Yeah, I think it's just browser. And then, yeah, and then you just grab a guest from video. Okay, yeah, I still remember how to do it, Hoop, so no problem. Whenever you feel up for it for joining, but basically that's me trying to do the browser, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, so we might have Hoop joining us for a bit of Asia trading. It's nice to know that I didn't lose my video room. What are you trading, Hoop? What are you trading? Oh, Brad Sims is here. Hey, man. Brad was in one of the VIPs. It was the previous, I think, season 2, right? Or was it season 3? No, it was season 2, I think. Yeah. Oh, trading gold. Right. Nice. Just scalp it up with all this up and down, like the horse drawers price action. I'm just waiting on copper to make a move nicely. Oh, what's it saying? Long fade skipped. Bar low? So why is it skipped? And that's a gold. Below zone. All right. Okay. So the apparently it wasn't close enough to the edge of the zone. I agree with that. Okay. Cool. Let's have a look. Dr. Dax, cattle. Well, cattle, it's not open at this time, is it? Because it's not one of those products that trades 23 hours, 5 days a week, is it? It's still only running on RTH. So you can't really trade cattle at this time of day. Yeah. Darth Buddha says, crap, I just took a scalp and my P&L is 666. That's no good. I like the 666, but I'm a bit of a devil spawn. I was born on 6th of December, so it's like 666. I'm a left-handed person, so that's immediately the devil spawn, right? So I don't know, I think 666 is a good number. Number on the beast. Bit of Iron Maiden there. Soybeans are more liquid. Yeah, especially this time of the year. No night cows. Yeah, cows asleep. Cows, even my cows here around the back, they have gone Betty. So no cows at night. Left-handed guitar player. Yes, that is me. All of my guitars are left-handed. Interestingly enough, I know 2 other guitar players who are also lefties, but then most of my other friends who like come over, you know, I used to have a Gibson guitar, then I have like 3 Ibanez guitars, and they all want to play it, but they can't because they're all left-handed guitars. So they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, now you know how we feel. Soybean oil has an interesting gap. Again, I don't think that I have soybean. I don't know what I have. I know that I have like CME top of book, some of it, but I mean, let's have a look. I don't think that's do soybeans trade 23? Maybe they do. It's moving. Do I have? I don't know. Does this look right? Because it doesn't say delayed, does it? So maybe it's like it is top of book, right? I don't know. Although it ain't moving though, so Do soybeans trade at night? Hope. Right, they do trade overnight. So is this all right? Is this not like delayed? I probably don't have bookmap and stuff because I don't think I pay for that particular exchange. Don't really pay for many ags. I do have live cattle because I've been watching it more frequently because of Hoop, obviously, and there are some nice trades that tend to happen in cattle, especially if you can like catch it probably about like 10-15 minutes after the open. If it goes, it just goes. It's quite a clean market. All right, so copper is breaking out of the pre-Tokyo range. We have 3 minutes until Shanghai opens, so that will be the defining moment. That is what we are waiting for. But yeah, that's basically it. I look at the value areas, I do look at pre-Tokyo range, and then I try to figure out which way we're gonna go. And that's pretty much it. It's, reasonably simple. And because Asia is like so smooth, you don't really have to do anything. Michael RS. Mikkel? Am I Deeyana from Topstep? Formerly, yes. Yes. Same one. But I'm back on my channel now. So if you don't know, I actually started my own channel in 2015. It's like when Granny D steps in. But I didn't really consider it like super serious or anything. So for years I only did like the Sunday weekly strategy overview, and I was super serious, and I would be, doing it every time, every single week without a fail. But YouTube was a very different place back then. You didn't have any live streaming. You didn't really have trading channels. You didn't really have any channels of like financial sort of overview. So nobody knew what the hell we were doing, right? So I was just like, today crude oil is looking like it's coming into the supply, and I was like super serious. So sometimes I look at those videos and I go, Jesus, they look very scary. What was I doing? And as YouTube kind of progressed to live streaming and more silly sort of, platform thing, engaging videos and all of that, it started to kind of mold into the kind of medium that we know it now, where you can find a lot of knowledge, but all of it has like an entertaining twist on top of it. And during COVID, I didn't know what to do with myself, so I decided to take my channel a little bit more seriously. And that's kind of where most of the subscribers came from. And then I had health issues, so I couldn't really do much. And I just kind of stopped daily live streams probably in 2022, probably because I just couldn't do it. And then Topstep decided to invite me to be a part of their stream, and that was because I was their first female funded trader back in 2015. So Hogue and I like had a chat, and he was like, yeah, we're doing this thing like the Squawk Radio, and I was like, oh my god, because I was a part of Squawk Radio back in the day as well, like it goes back. And I said, well, what are we going to be doing? And he's like, well, it's like Squawk Radio, but it's on video. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean, like all of us just on video? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, that's a bit weird. But yeah. And that lasted for 3 years, but now I want to go back to fintech, and I wanted to get back to Ninja. I know that some of you hate NinjaTrader, but I love it because, it's a simple platform. It served me very well for like 7-8 years, actually probably even longer at this point, 10 years. And I'm just used to it, I'm just used to it. So you take away my workflows and I kind of fall apart a little bit. But yeah, welcome. Yes, it is me. Wow, you've been trading for a long time. Yeah, Tony, I started in 2007, if you were to believe that. I was 27 years old. I was still a musician, and for the first 5 years or so. I ran music and trading concurrently while I was still learning. But I did very well. You know, it was one of those things where I kind of got lucky where I got introduced to supply and demand and proper way to manage risk, position sizing, because you know you didn't have prop firms like these days, and you didn't have some doofus on YouTube telling you to buy like 20 Apex accounts and then that's going to be your riches, right? We didn't have that. You basically just had a couple of options. You had an option to just kind of go, okay, well, I either have my brokerage account, or if you want to go to a prop firm, you have to have a track record, or you have to pay an arm and a leg for some sort of a junior trader program situation, right? And those programs were very expensive, so you know you didn't really have too many options, so you had to start with your own cash. So that's what I did. I started with like 2K, and over the course of 2 years, I built up that account to about $250,000. It wasn't quick, but it wasn't that, like, to me, that was actually pretty quick. But nowadays, it's like, it took 2 years to make $250,000. It's like, okay, since when is that, you know, a very long time to make 6 figures from, like, get away from me, moths. Like, what the hell? Like, this moth dude has just been, like, hanging around me. And now he's decided to come and, like, get up close and personal. It's like, oh, Jesus. Yeah. What is going on in Hong Kong and China? Global short squeeze brewing. I don't know. I mean, you can see they are now going the wrong way, right? So this is what I said earlier. Sometimes copper and gold tend to diverge. And it's just like differences in base metals versus precious metals. So I'm guessing there's still quite a bit of demand for the base metals because copper isn't everything. Whereas gold and equities have been very closely correlated whenever anything has been happening with Iran. And yeah, that's what I'm kind of seeing here now. It's starting to very much correlate with ES. So the last 2 candles on a 30-minute time frame, they're both down. So that's going to start following. ES is going to follow whatever gold is doing. So yeah. Well, it's a bit of a quiet Asia session. Not unusual in July, but I'll tell you though, I'm glad that I sleep through some of these. Because this is usually, you know, pretty kind of quick move. Right now we're dragging. It was definitely like just dragging and not really doing much. Gold is still inside that pre-Tokyo range, so there's nothing for us to do here. Copper is the only one that's teasing the edge, the high of the pre-Tokyo. Its pre-Tokyo range. And it's still kind of outstanding mean reversion to this blue line, which would be the mean reversion to value. But until we get any sort of serious movement, it's probably just going to hang around here. China did make a higher high on that push. HK jumped 70 points. Yeah. Calvin, hello, hello. Yes, how are you doing? Kelly says, I love Ninja myself. Yeah, I mean, it's not the prettiest platform, but honestly, I don't need it to be, you know, I'm not looking for a model, right? I'm looking for a robust platform that does what it's supposed to do. Yeah, maybe it's a moth gal. Yeah, came over for a bit of a pajama party, right? My brother calls them midnight butterflies. It makes them more appealing. Yeah, so my husband doesn't really like them. It's quite funny because he's not afraid of spiders. He's not afraid of wasps. He's not, but moths. actually quite funny because I couldn't care less about moths. They do not scare me. I don't like spiders because I've been hurt by them before, and I just know that some of them can cause like tissue necrosis and shit. But moths, they're just like a little bit spaz, right? However, every time there's a moth, my husband always goes, huh. He does these like karate kind of moves, and I just like die laughing every time. It's like a grown man going, huh. It's like it's just a moth. Like, what the hell? It's like, stop freaking out. Because yeah, it's funny. But yeah, midnight butterflies. Yeah, I like that. D, do we consider here the failed auction? So, Eloisa, it's not quite the same trading Asia to a granular level like you would trade the COMEX session or NYMEX session because of the different dynamics that they have. So, usually Asia is pretty directional. And then you get the Tokyo lunchtime, and then that's pretty much it. So, whatever they've done up until that point, that is it. So it doesn't matter that it looks like kind of they failed the auction. A lot of the times they actually continue on until about 4 a.m. my time, so another 90 minutes or so. And then they start to settle into some kind of a high or a low. And in fact, a lot of the times when you see the market kind of dip back into what's perceived as a failed auction, you would only make it to halfway into the failed auction after the extension before it turns around and carries on directionally, because Asia is a very directional session. So whilst all of the granular stuff that's in the ProDev program applies for the more lively sessions, such as even London for certain things like DAX, for example, such as COMEX, NYMEX, so crude oil, cash session on equities. Because of the nature of Asia, I don't really find the initial balance in that regard very useful. In fact, a lot of the times, if we're in a quieter session, it's going to be a neutral day type, and yet you still get some sort of a directional move after. So it's like, it's not an asymmetrical day, but clearly one side went further. So what is that? How do you define that? And you know, 70% of the days will start off Asia as some kind of a neutral session or a non-trend day, and then decide a little bit later during Shanghai what is it that they're actually going to do. And of course you have the sessions that just start strict, like go like bat out of hell at the open, but those are a bit more rare. Most of the time you will have the pattern of Tokyo Open, pre-Shanghai shakeout, and then a slower crawl up to the reopen of Tokyo lunch, establishment of higher and low, and then a reversal. Okay, very, very late in the day. So if you have some sort of a perceived trend in any of the metals, by the time that we get to around about this time of day, that is going to be it. Now, for me, the way I'm reading gold, we don't have a trend. So I'm reading gold as sideways with a potential to establish a low at some point. Copper, however, definitely has a bit of a skew upside. So I would expect that to continue at some point until my sort of 4:30 a.m. And then you get into that final hour of Tokyo, you know, enforced hedging into the end of the next exchange, the handoff between Shanghai and London, when more hedging happens and you get these beautiful reversal moves that I pretty much made my career on, basically. So it's any kind of end of the market, hedging, fades. Those are like the strongest setups that you can have. But yeah, as soon as you have some sort of a perceivable trend for the Asia session, I usually like to take that rather than imagining that we're going to get a failed auction and whatever. Because, you know, arguably this entire initial balance is 54 ticks. And the entire Tokyo session is 162 on average. So can we squeeze out some failed auctions? Yeah. But you're barely going to get like 1R in the way that I like to do things. It's just not, you know, to me, it's not the best way to trade Asia. So all I do, I almost use the pre-Tokyo range as the initial balance. And then I determine whether we're breaking out or not based on that range rather than the initial balance of Tokyo. Does that make sense? Yeah. How do I target during these slow sessions? I just wait. Because I have some indications of what's happening. I would say that gold is basing. It's, or as one of my trader colleagues said, it's demanding, aka creating a demand, right? So at some point, I'm expecting a little bit of a movement higher, but you can't be, you know, I look for bigger targets. So that always has to come with patience. And I'm very patient. I'm probably somebody who does not get emotionally dysregulated as I'm waiting for the bigger target to come in. And I can wait for like 2, 3, 4 hours. But within those 2, 3, 4 hours, I want to get between 90 to 110 ticks. If we get into like the second and third hour and we're still sitting at the edge and doing absolutely fuck all, obviously I will close that. But at that point, it's a time stop. It's not like, oh, I don't have any more patience. It's like, no, I've given it until the Tokyo Open, lunchtime or reopen, and you haven't done anything. So that is the end. It's a natural. So whatever happens to this trade is going to be cut around 4:30 a.m. my time, okay? But it's not like, you know, people often ask me, how do you have the patience? You just do. It's like, what's the rush? I don't understand where the rush is. It's like people are like, oh, I have to scalp because I have no patience. Well, guess what? Scalping actually takes patience as well. Like, I don't know how we missed that part. That the best scalpers in the world are extremely patient. But no, somehow scalping is like, oh, I have no patience. So you won't be a successful scalper then. It's like, what do you think the outcome is going to be in that case? Crazy. Yeah, I love being able to swear a little bit on my channel. Yeah. What session start and end times do you use for Tokyo, London, and New York? Looks like you have a Tokyo start at 00 GMT. Yeah, so it's at the moment it's BST over here, so it's 1 a.m. But yes, it is it's midnight GMT. Tokyo, however, doesn't have daylight savings. So when we change back to GMT, they are still going to be opening at the same time, right? So it's not going to be, so it's going to be midnight as opposed to 1 a.m. Is that right? I always get confused with daylight savings. It's like, it's the bane of my existence. I absolutely despise daylight savings. I don't see the point of it. And if farmers want some light, we've got electricity. It's not the Middle Ages anymore, you know? But I don't know. It's like also that the farmers can have more light. We're up north, and in the summertime, it's some of the longest days you will ever imagine. Like over here, we don't, like today we went for a walk at 8:30 p.m. with the dogs. The walk finished at 9:30. It wasn't even remotely dark. We didn't even have sunset yet. Okay, and then in the morning, the days start at like 5 a.m. It's like, how much more light do you want? Is it not enough light? Like, what is your problem? All right, we're starting to get that move that I was talking about. So yeah. Can I explain my strategy in a couple of sentences? Supply and demand on high time frames, so daily, 4-hour, weekly, for chart location. Market profile and statistical averages for timing and session situational awareness, and gamma levels for dealer positioning for context intraday. Is that short enough? But yeah, basically smushed 4 different things into one, and it provides me with pretty decent situational awareness on most days. It's not that I don't have days where I misread stuff, but a lot of the times, as the session carries on, as I get more MGI, market generated information, I get to a point where I'm like, hey, listen, I actually know what they're trying to do here. So if you can answer that, you can then position yourself in such a way that on most days you will end up positive on the day, right? Only if you allow yourself to get irked by, you know, certain events, that's when the negative stuff comes from. I think that the emotional regulation in a trade is not talked about enough, frankly. Like, if it irks you to watch gold doing nothing, maybe gold is not for you, you know. Have a look at copper, much more calm. If you are finding yourself nervous in a trade, if your heart rate is kicking up, that's all a sign of fight or flight response setting in. So for example, a lot of people trade NQ. But in my opinion, a lot of people shouldn't be trading NQ. Because they're like, oh yeah, I can't stay in. It's like, I can't stay in on NQ either, but take a look at ES. I can stay in on ES, no problem. No problem, right? Coach Fred says, good evening, Dee. Thanks for the education. Any hard feelings about Top Step? Absolutely not. No, still love Top Step. It's just a matter of me wanting to go back to Ninja and me having some other business goals with some other things that I'm doing. Like, for example, I don't, like, look at all of these indicators, right? They're mine. They're Blahtech indicators. And we've been promising people Blahtech Ninja indicators for years, and we finally finished them. Now, if I remained with Top Step, I would never be able to talk about them because we would have to be on Top Step X. Now, it's not that we didn't want to create stuff for Top Step X, we did, but they had no ways of creating custom third-party indicators. So to me, that didn't really work, right? So I was like, okay, well, now what? And yeah, so it was literally just business goals diverged. They want to go one way, I want to go this way, and I want to have freedom to do whatever, to, you know, review other firms as well, which again, as a partner of Top Step, I couldn't really do. So, you know, I'm still friends with everyone. You know, see, Coach Hoop is here, right? Hogue is still a huge friend of mine. I adore MP. He's a visionary. You know, there's just literally no hard feelings. Like, you know, you have business and you have friendships. Friendships are completely intact. Business is business. Okay, so when you get to a certain point in life, you start to disassociate the two. And, you know, there's not, again, you know, they have to do what they have to do. I have to do what I have to do. It's like, we all do and take on deals or, you know, projects that are most beneficial for us, right? And I have to see what's more beneficial for me. And to me, it's more beneficial for me to build my brand at this point, to go back to doing what I was doing back like 3-4 years ago, before I got the vaccine injury and a whole bunch of other things. And now we're back. So here we are. And to be honest, it's been liberating and fun and everything. Top Step is now a mini corporation. I come from a gung-ho musician, session musician world where I didn't want to work for a corporation. That's why I went to prop firms at the end of the day. And somehow, because of, you know, they've had this crazy growth, and I'm so happy for them. But I don't, you know, I don't know what to do in a corporation. And there's like all of this legal and compliance stuff that suddenly starts being always in the back of your mind. Like you can't say one thing without legal and compliance being on your case. And it's like, how did I get here? Like, what happened? Yeah, so, you know, there's multiple reasons why that wasn't going to work for me. And also because I have new medication and I'm a lot better now. So I can almost like carry on where I was 3 years ago. And that makes me extremely happy. So I can swear as well. Nobody's gonna tell me, D, don't drop an F-bomb. You're going to get in trouble. Do you like my pointer finger? Can you see that? Yeah. I did like a couple of Instagram things with pointing on the screens. So yeah, nobody's gonna get in trouble if I say fuck all, or if I plaster my code with grasshoppers, with Tradify, Apex, and Trade Day, you know, things like that. Before, we couldn't even mention other firms. It's like, do not mention other firms, do not do anything. And I get it, I totally get it. It's their competitors, you know, why would you? And to be honest, if TopStep still had the affiliate stuff, I would be totally with them, but they don't, so it is what it is. Yeah, but no hard feelings, you know, nothing, everybody's still friends, it's just business decisions, it's just how it goes. Aaron, yes, Aaron is here, oh my god, oh, it's so good to see you, man. You can swear and you can swear at the hate comments. Win-win. Absolutely, man. I did miss that, I have to say. You know, just kind of giving it to the trolls like they properly deserve, rather than trying to be like super nice. Yeah, Aaron and I, you know, that's stuff that we're sort of working on. We can't talk about it too much, but there's some interesting stuff that's going to be happening fairly soon. Yeah, where's the mullet guy? Yeah, you gotta do the mullet, man. Definitely. Proper sort of outback look. Now you're I mean, you have the Aussie passport, right? Is that like your dad or something? We never actually talked about that. Let me stop this scroll. But yeah, the mullet is so on point. I have so many Aussie mates, it's not even funny. And you know, I always used to say, oh yeah, you know, we had an Australian on our sofa. My neighbor said, oh yeah, well, we all had that. You know, it was the noughties in London. Everybody had an Australian on their sofa. It is so funny. So yeah, I had probably about 70% of friends who were all Australian. It was like, I don't know what they were all doing in London, but yeah, and they're very fun people. Dangerous, but very fun. Right, you have a New Zealand passport, luckily from her parents. Yeah, I have an English friend called Kate. She also did the same thing, but she actually went to New Zealand first, and then I think she found it a little bit too restrictive, so now she's in Brisbane, I believe. Or did she do... She might have done Sydney first, and then moved to Brisbane, so... Bris Vegas, as they call it, apparently. So yeah. Yeah, Aussies are hilarious. You know some of the sayings that I have, like up and down, like the horse drawers? Price action. That's from one of the Australian friends that I have. He's a trader. And, one time we were just sitting down, we were trading, and he's like, oh, mate, like the price action today is like up and down like the horse drawers. And I was like, it's such an Australian thing to say. He had much worse sayings as well, which I'm not going to repeat now. But yeah, like if you want to, whoever's not familiar with Australian humor, you should probably watch the early Jim Jeffries, like look for a comedian called Jim Jeffries, his early stuff. That's the sort of humor that all Aussies generally have. Like totally outrageous. You can't believe what they've just said. It's just like, but yeah, they're awesome. Where can I find your YouTube schedule? So normally I will stream Tuesdays and Thursdays at midday London time. That's 7 a.m. Eastern. However, because we're having a heat wave in the UK, streaming without an AC, it would mean that I'm just like melting straight up, right? So I wouldn't be able to breathe by the end of me finishing the stream. So what I'm doing this week is to move the sessions to the Globex stream. So on Thursday, which is effectively my Friday night, we're also going to be doing the Tokyo stream for this week. Next week, I don't know. If it's still the heat wave, then I'm going to carry on with Globex sessions, because to be honest, I actually feel pretty good doing this because it feels natural. Again, I'm a night owl naturally, and streaming at this time of the night, I feel like I'm more alive. I'm always like struggling with thoughts whenever I'm trying to do anything in the morning. And my morning is like until 2 p.m. my time. I just don't wake up. And then I slowly kind of come out of it, and I'm like, okay, good. I've had like a millionth coffee. Now I have an idea of what I want to do with trading. But now, I had like 3-4 hours sleep. I got up, touched up my face a little bit just so that I don't scare small children. and I'm like, okay, pre-Tokyo range, we're doing this, we're doing that. Like my head is so clear. And I suppose that's just me being a natural night owl. Are we going to get a proper push here? Come on. You can do it. You can do it. So I'm in with 4 lots, and we're waiting and waiting and waiting. And we've been waiting for a long time. And we shall keep waiting until we at least get somewhere closer to this area. So yeah, generally Tuesdays and Thursdays. But yeah, this week it's Globex time. Heat wave, you mean above 20 degrees? It's actually 33 degrees. And remember, Roy, we are a lot more northern than most of Canada, okay? So how would you feel if you go to Canada and it's like 35 degrees centigrade? Does that feel comfortable to you? Because listen, I grew up in Belgrade and in Spain and in Italy. I was happy with like 35, 39, not a problem. But then you come to the UK and 24 is just about all right. 27 gets a little bit sweltering and you're like, what is going on? It's the humidity, obviously. You get to 30 and you just don't know what to do with yourself. You like, if it gets any more humid, you will drown. Literally. Like you get outside and you just like go, like somebody put like, I don't even know, like hot air in your face. And it's disgusting. So I've never felt heat like that. You try and put shades on, they slip off of your face. It's kind of like Florida, swampy sort of heat, because Florida is very, very humid. And it's the same thing in the UK. So it's not, oh yeah, it's over 20 degrees for a week. No, we've actually had much, much hotter weather in the last several years, and that's a result of global warming. Now, it doesn't help that all of our houses are made to retain heat, so that's an additional difficulty. But it is also slightly annoying that in this country getting an air conditioning split system is up for debate. It's like, oh, you can't put it because you're going to ruin the look of the house. It's like, it's not a listed house. Like, it's not a conservation sort of grade 2 whatever house. It's like a normal house. They're like, yeah, but you're still going to it's like, it's my house. Let me do what I want. There were situations in North London where one of the councils was going around people's houses and ripping ACs out. It's like, what are we doing? You know? Do we want people to die of heat? Do we want children to overheat and old people in old homes to, oh yeah, you can lump it? No, they can't actually, because they are old people or they're very young children that doesn't regulate temperature very well. So if we are going to get 2-3 months of this sort of heat, something needs to change. And, you know, the entire world has, and it was so funny, there was a debate on one of the shows, like I think it was like this morning, the morning show or something like that, and they were going, oh yes, but you know, there are poor parts of India and, you know, I don't know, they said some other, Nigeria or something, and some of the Nigerians and Indians in the comments said, well, actually no, even the poorer parts have AC. Like, what are you talking about? And some of these people have never been out of the UK, so how the hell would they know? But they assume that the poorer parts of the country. I'll tell you, in Serbia, right, it's technically still sort of not quite the Western civilization, right? It's still a little bit too foreign for the most part. Every single house has not one AC unit, but one in every room, right? So it's like, and then here we are making this whole debate that, you know, is it green, is it not green? You running AC for like, you know, a month or two out of the year is not going to do much else for, you know, it's not going to be as detrimental to the global warming, the global warming, as much as the AI centers, data centers. It's like, come on, we're focusing on the wrong thing here, yeah? AI getting more powerful is what's going to fuck us over in the end, if it's going to be anything, right? It's not going to be the AC in the UK that, like, you know, a few thousand people are going to run every once in a while. It's like, it just annoys the hell out of me, but yeah. Yeah, so here you go. Hyphen says, we've been getting over 30 Celsius with humidity here just north of Toronto for the last week or so. Exactly, yeah. Is that comfortable? No, it's fucking disgusting, right? Same thing over here. Do they sell window AC units there? Yeah, but most of the windows here are fucking weird. You either have sash windows, that was my old house because it was a Victorian place. This one has a window that kind of swings outwards. It's like, what are we doing, guys? So yeah, I would have to like maybe change a window to get like one of the window units. So what I have is actually a portable AC unit with like the ugly hose out the back. That kind of works for this setup, but it's so loud that I can't run it. I tried on one of the streams, and my sister actually texted me because she sometimes watches my streams. Actually, she's always on my streams. And she goes, Dee, your microphone is making a weird noise. And I'm like, yeah, it's the AC, it's not the mic. So I couldn't even do it, right? And, you know, it's hot now, but because it's kind of the night and stuff, it's, you know, it's not that bad. All right, we're slowly crawling ever so slightly towards the value area. But yeah, this is July price action. I'm happy that I entered copper and not gold, because gold is just gone sideways. It be dead. It might move as we go into the final hour of Shanghai. So that Shanghai-London handover, that might be a good thing. But yeah. Yeah, so Hoop said U.S. forces complete fresh strikes on Iran, targeting more than 80 sites. U.S. Central Command never stops. Yeah, so it looks like the... is it safe to assume that the negotiations have failed? Right? So this is not over yet. Oh, that's a shame. More war. Yeah, Digicap says I have the same and blows right into my microphone. I have a directional mic, but it's one of those shotgun mics, right? So it shouldn't really pick up all of that, but for some reason it does. And yeah, there's no way I can do it. We did look at the what do they call it? Porta mid split or something like that, and it has like a really thin hose to it, but it was sold out everywhere. As the heat wave started happening, of course, it's going to be sold out everywhere. So maybe I'll, keep an eye on it. And that one is supposed to have a quiet mode. So maybe that's something that I'll be able to purchase as we head into August. Coach Joop says, woke crude up for sure. Yeah, crude oil was starting to get a little bit crawly. And now it's like kick up the ass and it's flying again. So yeah, looks like July is not going to be a typical July, which I'm kind of happy about. I always say I'm not happy about the reason behind it because it is war, but come on, are we going to make about 4 or 5 grand already on this session? Because remember, I'm running 4 different, not that one. I think I'm running 1 Apex. Yeah, so we are running 4 lots. 4 lots. Roy says that's a Trump full stop on the agreement papers before they take effect. Yeah. Alexander says, my home without AC would literally reflect outside conditions. So weird. Where are you based? Because some countries do that. So I know that in Australia they build houses to let in air. So it's like it's going to be hot in the summer, cool in the winter, but then they do have AC and they do have heating as well. Although some houses are difficult to heat in Australia, if I'm remembering that correctly. Aaron can chirp in. What's my take profit? So right now, I just have it close to this POC from the previous day session. Ballpark 622.40. But I mean, if we get to 622 at any one point, I'll take that. I'm not shy. We do have the value low to deal with. And what's the time? I mean, again, it's going to be either... Hoop, here's how I do things. So for these kind of setups, it's either price or time. So if we get to another hour and a half, sort of, and we are not actually reaching the target, it's going to cut off the trade wherever it is. So I don't even think about it. I actually have a liquidate all at 4:30. So wherever this trade has got to by then, that's going to be the end. Why? Because statistically at that point, time of day is a level, and you start the proceeding of Tokyo reopening after their lunch. Then you have the last couple of hours of Shanghai and Tokyo, the handoff to London, right? So all of that causes an enforced hedging into the next session. And 4 to 6 a.m. my time, it's the dangerous period to keep holding copper as a directional move at that point. And that's why I just cut it off. And whatever I make up until then, that becomes the beginning of my day. Sometimes it's a grand, sometimes it's a small loss. Sometimes I wake up and the bots have like taken about 2 grand of a small loss. But then the next one kind of steps in and we get like the liquidity sweep of like Asia high or low, and then that one kind of pulls the day together. And yeah, but most days, like last night, for example, I didn't do anything. The bots did all the work, and I woke up in the morning and they were all up 7 grand. So I was like, well, there's nothing else for me to do now. So I spent the day doing other things. I was like tidying up things on the website, doing some end-to-end cross-checks with the Blahtech indicators, because the Blahtech DR and Blahtech MP are live. We don't have all the screenshots on the website, but they are live. And the licensing might be a little bit laggy, because while I do have the automatic licensing, for some reason it kind of runs in a loop. So it's not necessarily instantaneous. So sometimes I have to like sync it manually when I get up. But it is live. You can actually purchase them on the Blahtech website, just the MP and DR. And the way we decided to do it, you get all of the indicators, but you only get the licenses for the ones that you pay for. We are preparing the analyst pack, so that's going to come out at some point. It's at the mercy of the QA guy from Ninja. So I still have some other things to do, like submitting the rest of the products to the vendor ecosystem on Ninja. You know, there's things to do there. So, but yeah, it's getting there finally. All right, I'm gonna hang around here for another 15 minutes or so, and then I'm gonna try and get a bit more sleep. But yeah, so far we are very, very slowly crawling above the pre-Tokyo range, and gold is trying to do the same. I still think copper looks better for a more directional move. But yeah, if we don't get up to my target, we're going to cut it off at 4:30 a.m., which is roughly about an hour 20. So yeah, one long swing trade that I hold. So that's how I get my big profits. Some nights it just carries on and I hold on to it. Other nights it's a partial. It all depends on what the price action is doing. So now we have a directional move, but it's not exactly the quickest, which I'm fine with. I actually quite like slow movement. As long as we get somewhere a little bit higher. Maybe this, I think this is settlement. Let me just double check that. Let me see if it's settlement. Now, on my Blahtech VWAP, I do have the settlement time. Yeah, so that is settlement from COMEX. This thin Dodger blue line. That is settlement. And as you can see, we don't have any major levels in the options chain until we get to 625. Oh, look at that. So we've had an update on the gamma levels. So we now have 4150. That was a mega call wall. Well, now it's a moderate call wall. So they shaved off a little bit of, they shaved off some positions there. And we have the gamma flip. I'm pretty sure the gamma flip wasn't at 4100 either. And a moderately strong put wall as well. So that is now an interesting change. And yet copper, unchanged. Still unchanged. Where is the biggest gamma wall? All the way down at 6 evens. So yeah, nothing really to fall back on. I like to filter my gamma walls because I don't use each and every one like you get the end of day levels in MentorQ. So they each kind of have their own way of doing things, but for me it was too many levels. So I only wanted the swing turning points. And I do that by smushing some Greeks and smushing some open interest and Greeks. So it's a particular calculation. And then I only do the biggest levels that have some anomalies around them. And that's what you see on my Blahtech GL indicator. Alexander says, I live smack bang in the middle of London, where the lovely pollution has so beautiful hot conditions. Yeah, I used to live in Battersea, so I feel you. Definitely not comfortable with all the buildings and stuff. At least here, I'm in the countryside, so, you know, when I open the door, there's like a farm this end and a farm that end, and it's just like much nicer. And you get to stare at the cows and the micro cows, because they have calves now. The calves are no longer afraid of my dogs. It's amazing. They're now coming up to the fence and they're like, yo mate, what's up? And the dogs are like, ah! They just go insane. But the little cows are just like, yeah, keep barking. You're cute. Yeah, you're very cute. They absolutely don't care. Do prop firms have a demo mode so you can test out the rules? TopStep has a practice account, but I think you need to still have an active evaluation. I don't know about the rest of them. I really don't. I know that back in the day, Earn to Trade used to have a 2-week free account. Maybe they still do. I know that they've just removed the minimum days, so they're changing stuff as well. Finally, getting into the 21st century. No problems. But yeah, I don't know whether Traderify has it, because again, when I joined them back in September last year, they still didn't have like the second coming of Traderify, right? So they changed a lot of the stuff, and I really love their accounts. And I have a mix of them. Some of them are growth. I had one select flex. These ones are mostly lightning funded apart from one, which is still growth. So yeah, I just wanted to see like a mix of the accounts. And initially I wasn't sure because all of their offering was the same as the other firms. Now they have really differentiated themselves from the others because you get bigger allowances and you get like automatic expansions of the daily loss limits once you reach certain milestones in the lightning funded. It's like probably the best offering on the market right now, quite frankly. And I mean, if you're blowing up a lot of evals and stuff, then Traderify is probably not for you. If you have to blow up like 7 times before you get funded, I would still stick to Apex, unfortunately. I mean, it's not unfortunate because they are just the cheapest. And if you are blowing that many evals, you just shouldn't be spending 100, 200 per eval. You should keep it cheap. So keep it to like $39. Once you grow, then you can go for the more expensive accounts. But, you know, just try to, like, we had somebody when I was still on TopStep on group coaching, like, who, I think you were there. The guy was like, oh, I spent 40,000 on evals. Like, how the fuck do you spend 40,000 on evals in a year? Like, what are you doing to spend 40 grand? Like, even if I try really hard to, like, blow up all the time, my cost is maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 if I've really gone crazy. It's like, how the hell do you get just like an insane amount of cash? And especially if you're not getting payouts. It's like you have no business spending anything like that. So pick and choose the firms based on where you are in your journey, right? If you spend 1 million, combines and evals to get funded, stick to the cheap ones. If you can do it in one go, definitely go to the more expensive options. But if you can't get to a payout and you keep paying for lightning funded accounts or instant funded accounts, that's also a problem. Because some people tell me, oh, I'm sick and tired of evals. I just want to trade. And then they spend the money on the lightning funded and they don't get to a payout and they blow up. So I'm like, that doesn't track either, right? So, yeah. Again, be smart about it. That's all I'm gonna. Yeah, Bjorn says at 40K you aren't evaluating anything. You're overspending on education. But is it really education? Are they actually learning anything? I would argue no. So this spread is still jumping. Look at that. This is all just like thin July market conditions at this point. But yeah. I'm going to keep holding this. There's no reason to close it. We're above the pre-Tokyo range. Gold looks like it's trying to slowly crawl back up towards 4150. So no reason to close it. But I am going to be finishing the stream very soon. Yeah, this is July price action. You have to be patient, right? You have to go more to the time-based targets rather than like sticking to your price-based targets. So it's like wherever this ends up in about an hour or so, that will be it. I'm not going to be sitting here on the stream, waiting for that. But we are definitely starting to see more kind of slow July price action. So patience, well-defined targets, well-defined entries. Use the pre-Tokyo range to orient yourself. Asia is a little bit strange that way, like I said, because the the standard auction is much more finicky. So the initial balance failed auctions, neutral day types and all that doesn't quite work the same way. So use the pre-Tokyo range instead, and then use anything that happens with the initial balances and the value areas as a potential add-on to that, but do not use it as like a sole decision maker, or we have the rejection of value and now we have a failed auction, so that's my setup, because it's a lot more directional than that. Once Asia makes up its mind where it's going to go, you can expect that it's usually going to trend to a degree, whether it's a slow trend or a fast trend, that's a matter of context, but it basically just keeps going in that direction up until the Tokyo lunchtime, post-lunchtime reopen. Okay, that's when we can expect the highs or the lows, if we're trending downwards, to be established. So if you hold gold or copper past that time, just know that statistically that is not a good thing to be doing, because the handover in forced hedging into the next session, the end of the day for that particular session, starts to happen, and sometimes those moves can be extremely large. All right, let me see, let's see. Oh, Vital says they do 10 accounts at a time. Yeah, that's quite possible, but you know, again, with Top Step you can only do 5, so 5 active. I mean, I suppose you can have as many combines as you like. What's the point of that? I don't know. Funded Futures family has a TradingView account for $16 a month. You can practice all you want. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Captain Knuckles says, I mostly do crypto futures and options. Yeah, that's pretty good. Brett Sims, they're going to learn how a deep fryer works. Oh, Brad, you make me laugh. Before lunch, right? After lunch. Yeah, so now Tokyo is still off on their right? Now they're going to come back, and then you see the establishment of either a high or the low for the session. I mean, maybe sometimes they do a little bit of a push after, but generally you get the sideways action around about that time. And yeah, so I use time of day as a level, as a concept, a lot. And I can't trade without it. It saved my little bottom many times. And yet people are like, well, how do you know it's going to turn around there? Because I've done this for 20 years and I've seen it happen like literally about 80% of all the observable days that I've sat there watching it. Every time I didn't close it early, it turned around on me. So, you know, you do that like 100 times and eventually you learn. It gets through the tick skull and gets into your brain. So 20 years later, you go, what if it gets to 4:30 a.m.? I should probably take this off. And then eventually that becomes a hard rule and a habit that you never step away from. But yeah, time of day, a very underutilized take profit strategy. How many evals per month is healthy? Honestly, for me, 4 to 5 maximum. Like I never, if I go over 5 evals, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? You know, it's like you have to ask yourself that question eventually. So really, for me, if I have 4 to 5 evals and by the end of the month I have no funded accounts, I'm doing something off, right? So I then have to go back to the drawing board and go, all right, D, let's have a chat and see what the hell is happening. Usually out of the 4 or 5 evals, I typically end up in at least 4. So maybe I blow up 1. And then usually, on most times I will have 5, but then I will get a payout out of one of the account and maybe blow up 1. So, you know, usually I maintain 3 to 5 accounts per company. And right now I'm only with Apex Trade Day and with Tradify. Trade Day, I haven't traded much because they still have a limit on copper, and copper is at the moment my main product. So, you know, that's a bit of a problem. I did speak to James, so I saw him for the Prop Firm Expo. We had like a 3-hour drinks, just him, me, and Leia, actually. And we chatted about a whole bunch of stuff. And there's going to be some changes there as well. So they're going to be working on the new dashboard to make it a little less cluttered. And yes, they will be reviewing metals as well at some point. And they should have gotten, actually, on the 6th of June, sorry, June, what am I doing? Living in the past. On the 6th of July, they should have gotten the NinjaTrader Rhythmic connection. So that should be like a soft launch with Trade Day. I don't really like Rhythmic. I go for TradingView, but you know, if you like Rhythmic, then it should be available now. So yeah, grab the Grasshoppers code on Trade Day and grab a nice sort of, I think they have 50% off now, right? So yeah, there's some good deals kicking around. And also I have to mention that my own professional development program is also 50% off. So go to marketstalkers.co.uk. That has a new / old domain. We used to be there. And you can grab it for 50% off. So you can also pay over time. We now have Klarna as an option. I think we also have ClearPay and Afterpay in certain countries, but it's very, very country dependent, and I have no control there, right? So it's literally all down to the location of wherever you're located, what options of pay later or pay over time you're going to have. Anyways, I'm going to finish it up with that. For now, it's doing well, so like I said, I'm going to leave it running. Hopefully we're going to get another little pumpity pump before 4:30 a.m. comes, and then I'm going to be sitting on a little bit of profit for tomorrow. Follow me on Instagram because I'm going to be doing a recap, right? I'm going to do a recap of what happened with this trade and generally how we're doing on the day. Until then, let's try to be patient with this July price action, and I'm going to do another Globex session on Thursday. If you are located in the USA, it's going to be my Friday overnight, so I'm going to be putting that in as the next scheduled stream. So check it out and come join me for another evening of a bit of Asia trading. Maybe it's going to be bots, maybe it's going to be me, but we're going to find a trade. Even though it's slow, even though it is Asia. Until then, let's try to be less grasshopper, as always. You know what's coming. And more market stalker, okay? So do that for me. I will see you very soon for another Globex session on Thursday. Take care.